guys, welcome to Chasing Dream Show. Today we have an amazing guest with us who would like to, I think she will blow your minds off. So she is Marta, and she has climbed the highest peak in the six continents, and she is also trying to climb one of those mountains in Indonesia. So it will complete her seven summits, and also she has climbed around 25 peaks in the Europe, and she is on a project to climb 50 peaks in Europe. I hope. She has a lot under her belt, and she's also the founder of Rappel Adventure Clothing Company, which is going to come live. Oh yeah,
I had to represent.
So happy to welcome you onto Chasing Dreams podcast. I'm so happy that you made it to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor, honestly, and obviously I do love talking about Everest. I'm still very excited about the whole thing, and I still kind of can't believe that actually I made it. It's my second attempt, so it's been in the making for a good few years. So I'm really pleased, and thank you for having me, and I'm really happy to talk about it.
Okay. So in Instagram, you could see Marta as like, oh, she's an adventure person. She just travels, she climbs mountains, and so fascinating to see. What was life before coming into mountaineering?
So I was always quite, I would say, adventurous. I was always very outdoorsy, and before actually climbing mountains or hiking, I was traveling a lot since probably I moved to the UK. So just for the background, I was born in Poland and I was raised in Poland. When I was 20, I left Poland and I moved to London, UK. So when I moved to London, I started working and I had enough kind of savings and kind of money coming in that allowed me to travel, and that's when I started my traveling career, if I can say that. So I traveled quite a lot for what, considering I had a full-time job, I did actually manage to visit quite many countries. In the first 5 years I visited like 50 countries or something like that. So it was quite intense. And then at the age of 27, I climbed, I did actually Inca Trail in Peru, which was a low altitude. It was the first kind of what do you call it, first experience I had with altitude, when you can feel that the breathing becomes harder, and I was curious how it is to climb higher. So my career kind of in mountaineering or hiking or high altitude started when I was 27, but before that I traveled quite a lot. And even before that, before I moved to the UK, I was always out, very outdoorsy. I was a tomboy. I didn't like girly stuff. I didn't really have money for girly stuff, to be honest, because I come from a poor family, and my friends were into clothes and bags and shoes, nails and everything. I couldn't afford that, so I didn't have an option to have that. So I was this tomboy, and I was wearing baggy trousers, and I was riding BMX, doing little tricks on BMX, hanging out with the boys. So I was very much probably an outdoorsy type already. So that was kind of easy transition. It didn't bother me that I'm going climbing and sleeping in a tent because, getting dirty. I didn't mind that because it's like my nature almost.
Okay. So after that, you said it was an easy transition, but why specifically into mountaineering? You also mentioned other sports, right? So how did you streamline it into mountaineering?
So I think it became like it's just curiosity. So when I did Inca Trail in Peru, it was quite random. I just wanted to go traveling. I went on my own. I wanted to have a little adventure. So I signed up for this. So Inca Trail is basically 4 days of hiking or slash camping. And you go through the mountains and you reach 4,200 meters at one point. It's not a peak. It's just like, the route goes naturally up and down. And I was very curious what it's like to go even higher, because obviously I could feel already that, every step I took, it was harder than normally. And it's just curiosity that kind of made me sign up for something else. So I don't think it was particularly anything like, you know, I was born for the mountains. No, I think it's just I happened to be in that place at the right time in my life. I had, you know, I was single, and I had enough. I was earning enough that I could afford those adventures, and I just wanted to see what it's like. And I think once you get some sort of success, the success is very addictive, I think. So when I, after the Inca Trail, when I signed up for Mount Kilimanjaro, I wanted more. I wanted to kind of have that achievement, you know, like I was so happy I reached Kilimanjaro. I thought I would never do it, and it was very challenging, and it felt like, oh my God, it was very like kind of scary at the time, because you start at night, and I never kind of knew that, you know, the whole, it's like it becomes a bigger event, and knowing that, oh my God, you're actually walking at night, and it's just scary, and there's snow, and there's, you know, altitude, and people are getting sick, which is makes it more scary, and at the same time, if it's the scarier it is, the bigger the achievement you think you've accomplished, and that becomes so addictive that you want more. I mean, when I climbed Kilimanjaro, during the summit push, I do remember thinking, oh my God, people actually climb Everest. I am not created for that, because I struggled a lot. I had a massive headache. And I do remember the specific thought, I will never do it again. But you forget about this so quickly. After a week coming back, I'm like, I want to climb Mont Blanc now. I want to see what it's like to do a little bit more technical mountain, because Kilimanjaro is just pretty much just a hike. Whereas Mont Blanc is a little bit more, you know, scrambling. So it's a little bit more dangerous, I suppose. So I was just curious, and I think it's just a pure curiosity. If at the time maybe I would get into, I don't know, a snowboarding, maybe now I would be some sort of a crazy snowboarder doing some snowboarding things. But I don't think it's a love for one particular thing. It's just more of a, you know, I like adventure, and my life sort of led me to go hiking and climbing, and that's how I ended up doing this, because I was sort of hungry for this success and kind of curiosity that took me there.
It actually kept pushing your limits, and it was testing you to your utmost, I would say. So
Exactly.
maybe that's the reason you kept doing it. So once after you climb Kilimanjaro, it seems like you also climb other six highest mountains on the other continent. Was that a project or a vision that you thought of, or like you were traveling and then you just started to climb?
Well, so like coming from Poland, mountain climbing is very, very popular. And if you, I don't know whether your viewers will know this. For example, you know, we've got 14 8,000 meter peaks in the world, and out of 14, 10 of them were first conquered in winter by Polish people. Which is a lot. So this was very much in our culture. So I grew up watching mountaineers, obviously watching disasters as well, because a lot of people died while climbing those mountains. So it kind of is very much in our culture, and we are very aware of mountains and how dangerous they are. And so I forgot where I was going with this. So you know, I think I never kind of thought that this is going to be my plan to do 7 summits, but it was always like a little bit of a dream. It's a little bit like, you know, you dream to win a lottery, but like I dream to win a lottery, but I never play. So it was a little bit like this. I kind of thought it would be amazing to do 7 summits, it would be an amazing climb Everest, but I never planned for it. I never allowed myself actually believing like that I would ever do it. I never even aimed for it, really. I just took one step at a time. So I wanted to do Kilimanjaro. I did Kilimanjaro, and I was like, well, what can I do next? How about Mont Blanc? But it was not a plan to go towards Everest. Obviously, at the back of your mind, it's like, oh, it's a dream. It's sort of a dream that will never come true. Yeah, it was never a plan. It's just one step at a time, and you get closer and closer. And I only started thinking of Everest after Antarctica, because that was my mountain before Everest. So yeah, I didn't want to think too much ahead of myself, because it's one mountain at a time. I don't know my strength, and yeah, one mountain at a time, and then
That's
finally
great.
Everest.
You're honest. That's nice that you're very honest with your answers. So actually, let's jump on to Everest,
Yeah.
and we will find out like what all went into the Everest preparations and all those. Since like Everest, the highest mountain, and we could feel the uh, like the dangers that could happen on Everest because it's something very high and above the dead zone. So how are your mental preparation and physical preparation?
So I think this year, so this is my second year, as I said. Last year I tried to climb Everest and we had to cancel it because of COVID. And I think this kind of helped me a little bit, because there was a lot of, I suppose, questions and unknown. The unknown, I think, is the scariest thing. I feel like if now I went back to climb Everest, I don't think I would be even half as scared as I was climbing now, because just unknown, it's just the scariest thing. So there was definitely a big benefit on my part that I was there last year, and we did 2 rotations above icefall. Icefall is meant to be the most dangerous part of Everest, and I was like the most scared of it. And
It keeps moving, right?
it keeps moving.
Keeps
It
moving
moves a
all of a
lot.
sudden.
And it constantly, like, you on it and you constantly hear cracks and something falling, little avalanches here or there, or sometimes bigger ones. It's constantly moving. Pretty much every time you go either up or down, you go different route. That's how it was last year, and that's really how it was this year as well. So that was the scariest part for me. Plus, last year we had an avalanche on. I mean, when I say avalanche, it was a small avalanche. For me, it was the biggest thing ever that was coming our way, and you could hear it and you could see it. And it was just the scariest moment of my life. It passed us and we just got hit by the like little cloud of ice. Not ice, sorry, cloud of snow. You know, when avalanche passes, there's a big cloud. So we only got like just hit by that. I mean, nothing.
Impact.
Sorry, was that?
That wasn't actually an impact that you...
Yeah, we didn't get hit by this. It passed us somewhere on the side, but it was so scary. I mean, we didn't know what to do. There was a bunch of Sherpas ahead of us, not from our group, just passing by. They went down on their knees, and we were just like standing, watching our guide. What shall we do? What is he doing? And we didn't know what to do, really. So we just stood there, just staring at each other and just waiting. And then as the cloud came, we just turned around, just not to, because we didn't know what was coming, really. And in the end, it passed, and we were just like covered with snow. But it left almost like a scar on me, that I was terrified of icefall. Whereas this year, we went a couple of times during the day on the icefall, just for the training purposes. And I saw that there is not like the route was easier. It wasn't like up and down or anything. And I could see that there is no immediate dangers as such. Like, before I remember going a lot underneath big seracs that could collapse anytime. This year, a lot of there were a few places where it was like that, but a lot of the route was pretty relatively safe, I would say. So that kind of calmed me down, and I wasn't as scared of that icefall anymore. But yeah, coming back to your questions, how I dealt with the anxiety, well, I suppose anxiety as well. I do suffer from anxiety very easily. I stop eating when I'm nervous, and if there is 20 people in the room, they're all going to be probably eating a little bit, and I'm going to be the first one that will stop eating because I'm nervous. I probably will be the first one to puke because I'm nervous. That's just my thing. So this was like a big challenge for me, actually. So I figure out a way, like I came up with some tool, I researched it basically. So I had a reminder on my phone what to do when I'm getting nervous, when I can't control this, when I get anxious. So there was a few things I did. So before coming to Everest second time, I read a book called Endure, which is all about, how all the endurance running and, extreme sort of achievements, it's all in your head. And knowing this, it really helps, because that, it kind of helps you understand that, okay, this is a physical challenge, but realistically it's very much in your head and you just have to push through it. So I read that book, it really helped a lot. I read another book called 5 Second Rule, and that book, honestly, till now I kind of feel the effects of it. So that the book teaches you to kind of distract your brain and just give yourself 5 seconds and count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you start thinking. Yes,
right?
correct. So I really like that book, and I was finishing that book while being on Everest. So every time I had some thoughts, I would try to use that as a tool to kind of distract myself. And then I downloaded a few meditation songs, I suppose, or sounds on my phone. So I knew I'm gonna have to like calm down and just like focus on my breathing, because it's just your mind is like the biggest enemy for you, and you just have to get some sort of distraction. And then I always.
Since you said this, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, that's fine.
What would be the 3 life lessons that you learned from the mountains or being outdoors or adventure?
3 lessons. Well, I think the biggest lesson is that you can actually do way more than you think you can. So you might think, oh, never run a marathon, and I guarantee if you put your mind to it, you can run way more than marathon. So you just need to kind of, well, you need to set your mind to it.
They say that when you are done, it's only like 20% of your whole energy is gone, and remaining 70 to 80% is left, they would say.
Exactly. Yes, it's very much the case. So you would be surprised how much your body can endure, but you don't want to do it because you think you're convinced that there is my limit. I'm not going to be able to do more than that. I did another mountain and I was completely exhausted, so I wouldn't be able to do more than that. You can, if you set yourself, I'm gonna run 5K, and after 5K, if you almost exhausted, you think you can do 6. But if you set your mind, I'm gonna do 10K, you're probably gonna do 10K, and you will be like, oh, there's no way I'll do 11. And it's always like that. And it's same in the mountains. So it's very much the case. This is the biggest life lesson. What will be the second one? Second one. Oh, this is a hard one. I actually had.
You also take your time. What we will do now is we'll go to a session called rapid fire, while you go ahead and think of it on the side of your mind.
Okay,
let's have a chill conversation right now, because we spoke a lot of mountaineering, the scary parts, the trainings, that the mental training especially that you have gone through. I actually mentioned whether what is the physical and mental training, but we could see from your answer that physical training is only 10 to 20% of it, where sports like these needs a lot of mental training. And you also gave a lot of tips towards how did you overcome it with your with your life itself. That's a great example that people could also relate. And we'll move on to the rapid fire. Can we go ahead?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I only need one answer from you.
Okay.
So I'll keep shooting the next question.
Okay.
Who is your favorite mountaineer?
Oh, name's Die. No questions.
Your role model in mountaineering?
Martyna Wojciechowska is a Polish climber. She's an adventurer / climber / traveler.
Okay. The best book or documentary that you would suggest to people in terms of outdoor sports?
Book, did you say?
Yeah, book or documentary.
Again, I am so loyal to names right now. I'm gonna say 14 Peaks.
Okay, it's on Netflix, guys. You can always go and watch, and it's an incredible story. And I hope everybody would like it. Okay, I want to ask you this. Maybe seems to be a little silly. Tell us your beauty tips.
My beauty tips: sleep well. That's honestly the biggest probably beauty sleep. And use sunscreen. Oh my god, sunscreen is the best. Like, I realized that on the mountain how my skin got so destroyed because of the sun. So use the sunscreen. 50 factor 50.
Okay. SPF 50 is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any brands that you want to recommend? What is that
Oh,
you use?
I at the moment I've got was Nivea. Is that how you pronounce that?
Okay. Okay. Three characteristics that would describe Marta.
Determined, positive, ambitious.
Good. I think we both share the same traits.
Yes,
Don't
high
we?
five.
Okay. I want one answer from this. I'll give out a word to you. Tell me what it means to you.
Okay,
In a sentence also that will work.
okay.
Okay. Dreams.
Oh my God, dreams. Excitement,
Adventure.
fun,
Success.
the pride,
Failures.
lessons,
Life.
adventure.
Great. Actually, you smashed the rapid fire round. Very quick.
Thank you.
I can keep going, ask hundreds more questions in rapid fire, I guess. Okay, like, what are the three important things actually that you carry with you on an outdoors, since you are a woman, so that when people see, they could also relate and they could carry when they are outdoors?
Is it anything, or are we talking about women related? Anything.
For safety purpose, for women in particular.
For women in particular, well, I take what do you call them? Cranberry tablets every day. So for expedition like that, I have cranberry tablets, which are good for ladies' parts.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Wet wipes. Again, women have to deal with that. And then I take diarrhea pills, even though I never use them. So I've got a whole stack of constantly replacing diarrhea tablets. But you never know. I mean, we all have some stories of diarrhea when we travel, especially when you travel to some new places where the food is different, your stomach is not adjusted, and you always have to face some sort of issues. So I always take diarrhea tablets just in case.
That's great to know, and I hope it will help people out there who go on adventures. So, describe in one word how being on top of Everest felt for you.
Surreal. It's honestly surreal. You don't really know what's happening. It's just funny because you like in this cocoon with those clothes and mask and goggles and a hood and a big jacket and a backpack, and it's you just like where am I? Like it's so surreal. I think that would describe it the best. Surreal.
Okay, one project that Marta would want to do.
Seven Summits. Apart from Seven Summits, or
Apart from that, something scary that you want to do, or okay,
oh,
let's see in future I could able to accommodate this.
well, I
Okay.
want to do obviously Seven Summits, and I'm not gonna lie, I started thinking of Explorers Grand Slam, which is Seven Summits plus the South Pole and North Pole. And there is one other thing that is on my mind, and I think it will be a cool thing to do. Climb Mont Blanc and then come back from Mont Blanc all the way to London on bicycle, and then rowing through the channel and then bicycle again. I think it would be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, actually, a similar project like this. You know Yuli's Geeks?
No?
Okay.
But tell me about this.
Just Google it.
Okay.
Maybe after this show, I will share you.
Yeah, if you share, I'm always up for those little tips because people have crazy ideas and some of them are so cool. And I always love those little things. I actually stole this idea from someone else. It's not my idea, but I think it would be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, we get inspired and fascinated with people.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can add your own things.
Projects like this, like what all people are doing, what can we like. Some people think from different perspectives.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I put in their shoes. Oh, that's actually cool that we never thought of, and
yeah, exactly.
It will give us a new experience. Okay. How, like, what would you like to tell to people who are chasing their own dreams, Marta?
Don't give up. Just take one step at a time, and if you haven't climbed any mountains, for example, if your dream is climbing Everest, if you haven't climbed any mountains, it seems like a big gap between where you are and where Everest is. But in reality, there's thousands of little steps you can take, and you're getting closer and closer, and it's not. It doesn't become, it's not so overwhelming anymore. And I think it's with any goal, like whatever you want to do in your life, you can just take one step at a time towards it, and it's not as big of a project, and it's more achievable. And the more achievable something is, the easier it is for you to kind of go towards it. Because at the moment, like if someone never climbed Everest, they will be like, oh, I'm never gonna do it, it's just too much, blah blah blah, and you kind of talk yourself out of it. But if you climb one mountain, another mountain, and then bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're gonna get there. So you just have to keep going, just one step at a time, just do little steps basically.
Yes, thanks. That's a great learning for myself, I would say. I think this would help me out in the future. So, like, can you talk us about? You said your inspiration is Nim's guy, and you happened to climb alongside him, and then you also met Simon Monroe. Can you please tell the experience and the energy that they share, and what did you learn from them, from these two personalities?
Well, so yeah, they both, I mean, they're all so inspiring. Obviously, we, you know, knowing those stories, it's just like mind-blowing how strong they are, and it's incredible. And I think Nims in particular, he's got this energy about him, and I don't know whether it's because it's everything is so new, but he's got this what's the word, it's like very contagious positivity. And we,
Charisma that he holds, right?
sorry,
The charismatic
exactly,
character he has.
yes.
Yeah.
And for him, it's like nothing is impossible. If you say something, oh, I can't do this, he doesn't take that. It's just like, hey, you can do it. And he sort of passes on that thought onto you. So even like he persuades you so easily that you can do things. So even in base camp, we were talking about this actually. If there is a mountain that you like, but you don't want to climb it because of some whatever reason, don't talk to Nims about it, because if you do, 5 minutes later you're gonna be on the path to climb it, because he's gonna persuade you in literally 5 minutes to do it. So for example, in our team, some people sign up for Everest and Lhotse. Lhotse is the 4th highest mountain in the world, and it's right next to Everest. And to climb Lhotse at the same time as you climb Everest, it's only about, I'm just kind of guessing off the top of my head here, 8 hours detour. So it's nice to actually climb both, because you're already there, you know, you might as well, right? And a lot of people sign up for both of them. I did not, because I didn't believe my strengths, and now it's my biggest regret that I didn't. But I, you know, before Everest, when we were sort of still preparing Kathmandu, packing and all that, people were saying, don't talk to Nims about Lhotse if you don't want to do it, because I didn't want to do it. But at the same time, I was kind of, oh, everyone's going for it, maybe I should do it as well. And people were saying, don't talk to Nims about it, because if you talk to him about it, you will be climbing it. And so I was like, I decided, okay, I don't want to climb it, and I know if I do, he's gonna persuade me to climb it, and maybe I shouldn't be doing it. So yes, because he's got this power of persuasion, and he's just incredible. I mean, and it's I don't know, it's just being around him is just like so cool. I like it's, I don't know, it's just incredible. He's an incredible individual for sure. That charisma, positivity. So yes, as I was saying, so Nim's got this incredible charisma. He's so positive, and he's so strong as well. I mean, like while we were climbing Everest, I summited Everest, and during that time, he summited Everest twice, and Lhotse twice, and Kanchenjunga as well. I mean, it's just incredible. And he did that without oxygen. So I climb with oxygen. Everyone, apart from one person really, everyone climbed with oxygen. Yeah, apart from Victor from Peru, he also summited Lhotse without oxygen. But Nims did all of it without oxygen. It's just incredible. I mean, he's so strong.
Yeah. Yeah, like people are getting fascinated with what impossible list actually when comparing to him. That what
Yeah,
like whatever he does,
he's a
he just
machine.
does it.
He's a
Yes,
machine, honestly.
yes. And also, can you please talk about Simon Monroe?
Yeah, so he's very humble. I was really surprised how humble he is. And he's like very, very like sweet. He's very nice. Like it was, like he didn't have to spend time with us and talk to us because like, we didn't, we don't know him, but we approach him in the bar and he spent at least an hour talking to us and probably another couple of hours talking with other people. It was just so lovely. And then, he was talking about he's flying a helicopter, telling us to wave next time. And we later we wrote to him something on Instagram. He was always happy to respond, and knowing that he's a legend and he's like replying to me, it's very, very it's incredible. I mean, I'm a little bit, I remember being starstruck talking to him because it took us probably like 15 to 20 minutes. We were like, shall we go, shall we not? We didn't know what to do because he was just standing and talking to one of the guys.
Actually, I have invited him for this podcast, I guess. Let's see
Oh,
what
he's lovely. Yeah, honestly, he's so lovely.
he was on a project when I called. So
Okay.
hopefully I will have
Well,
him on
hopefully
this.
you will. And if you will, say hi. Just say, I always waved when I saw his helicopter. Yeah, but he always said, don't wave with both hands because that's when you need the rescue. Yeah, exactly. So it has to be one hand.
That's nice. And also, like till now, when people would have kept hearing it, oh, it seems to be like great adventure. Life is on cloud nine for Marta. Uh, the adventures that she goes, the lives that she lives. So I don't think so. There's any struggle that she goes around. So please let us know the struggles that you have faced in order to create a life that you have right now.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That financial difficulty is a huge part of this because mountaineering is very expensive hobby. So financial struggle was probably the biggest thing I had to struggle with, because
how do you manage that?
So I actually have a full-time job. I work in finance, and I actually, the way I figure out I could go traveling and I could go mountain climbing is by really just giving up on something else. So I live a very humble life. I'm 37 years old and I still don't live on my own. I live with other people, just having my own room, sharing bathroom, sharing kitchen. For someone being my age, and I guess I've got a decent job. So once you have a decent job, your requirements, your standard of living go up. Mine never went up. I've never had a car. Half a year or last year, I went to a hairdresser. That was my first hairdresser visit in 23 years. I never do nails like girls do. I've done my nails probably, I think, 4 times. I remember those 4 times. 4 times in my life. And I just don't do that. I don't go to, what do you call it? Like I don't even know, like a beauty kind of, I don't do that. First time I went to spa was a year ago. I'm 37 years old, and I went to spa. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what to do. And so, my life is very, very humble. And I don't really go to restaurants because they're very expensive as well. Only recently I started buying a coffee. I don't drink coffee, but like a tea in a coffee shop because I thought it's a waste of money. So I had to give up quite a lot. And what I mean by that is that, everyone's got some sort of standard. You earn more, your standard is higher. You earn even more, your standard goes up. Mine stayed. I started earning more, but my standard of living stayed where it was. And that allowed me to save a lot of money and just do the travels. And of course, then later with Instagram, my Instagram growing, I was able to travel more and more, sort of the money coming in from that sort of business. So it became almost my second full-time job, because let's be honest, running an Instagram or Facebook or any social media to that degree that I do, it's a full-time job. It's a nice full-time job, because I enjoy going climbing mountains and taking photos, but I have to take photos and videos and edit them and spend that time and go regularly hiking, because if I stop going hiking, all of a sudden my Instagram is going to kind of die, because it's going to be there's going to be no content. So I have to maintain that sort of part, and it is a full-time job. But as I said, it's basically a hobby that at the same time brings you something as well.
Into a profession.
Correct. Yes.
Yes, that's amazing to hear. We are almost to the end of this session, and I wanted to ask you this: whom do you want to thank for the journey that you have had till date?
So probably my mom I'm gonna thank as the first person, because she taught me that working hard is really paying off. We are completely different people. She's a completely risk averse person, whereas I like taking risks. I like adrenaline. She is completely the opposite. But one thing we have in common, that we work hard, and I think I got that from my mom. As I said, I come from a poor family. My parents were divorced. My dad left when I was 3 years old, so my mom had to raise me and my brother alone, and she had full-time job, and then she had another job in the evening, and she was always telling me, remember, education and hard work is something that is going to help you in the future, and that stayed with me. So my mom is going to be the first one, even though she's always against any adventures that I do. Oh, why are you doing this? It's dangerous, blah blah blah. But hard work is definitely from my mom. And then I think I actually have a couple of friends. They were not even like the closest friends, but they said something in my life in the past that stuck with me. They might not even know this. So one, I have a friend from primary school even. I was very shy when I was younger. I was very shy of all the people. I don't know whether it comes from my upbringing, the fact that, my dad left, my mom was always at work, and so I never had contact with an adult, only kids. So I was never shy of kids my age or younger, but I was very shy of people sort of one generation up. So like aunties and teachers and all the people than me. I was incredibly shy and I couldn't talk to them. And I remember I wanted to change, in my high school, I wanted to change a class because I didn't want to learn German, I wanted to learn English, and they kind of put me into German class, and I really wanted to learn English because I thought English was a more useful language if you look globally. And it wasn't a normal thing to do, to change the class. You had to go to a headmaster and teachers and speak to them, and I was terrified of this. And I remember this conversation with a friend of mine. She said, you need to be brave, you need to be independent, you need to grow up. And it's stuck with me. So sometimes there are things I want to do, but like I am just like too shy to ask, too shy to send an email, too shy to talk to someone. It's just stuck with me. And I don't have this problem anymore. It was a huge problem when I was a teenager. Honestly, it was a huge problem. And to the point that I can't even believe that now, knowing that I don't have a problem with that. But I'm even surprising myself. So that stayed with me. So I'd like to thank that friend of mine, Kasia Janachowska. And then one more. Maybe she will. I might actually send it to her. She did say that. She probably doesn't even remember that. And then I'm gonna say my first boss in the UK, Selwyn Lim. He was such an inspiration. He opened up his company and he grew it. I mean, it became very profitable company. He then sold the company, pretty much retired. So he still is. I think he's the smartest person I've ever met. I worked for him for 4 years. Then we became very close friends. And I think there was a lot of things I've learned from him because he was my first contact when I came to the UK. he taught me that, you know, you have to be like very, what's the word, hungry for knowledge. He was always like, if he doesn't know something, he will Google it. I don't think this was my mentality when I came to the UK, and I think that he changed that a lot. He just kind of made me believe that if you don't know something, that's okay. You can learn it. If you don't know something, hire someone or get someone else's help. You can get a lot of knowledge everywhere around you, and that's what kind of he probably taught me over the 4 years that I worked for him. So I would probably say thank you to him as well.
That's actually very detailed and
I
good
know
explanation for a thanks.
it
I
is.
hope it will impact them when they see the video. I hope
I
so.
hope so. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna send it to them.
I think you have great respect and admiration to the people that have helped you. That's so nice on your part. So, how do you rate your life from 1 to 10?
9 because I want to. I'm aiming for 10, but I
Okay.
honestly, I don't know anyone personally who's at 9 or 10. Like I would never exchange my life with anyone that I personally know. I'm so happy with my life, and I say 9 just because I'm aiming for the 10. And maybe I'll get there one day, but at the moment there's still so many things I want to do, I want to change, I want to improve. So that's why I'm gonna say 9, but 9 is pretty much 10 because I don't know anyone who's at 10.
That's great.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Very soon you will reach to the point where you feel like, yes, it's time for 10 right now. That will happen very soon. And I want to thank you for coming onto the show and sharing your inspiring journey. I would say, like, as you said, even when your income started to grow up, you but stayed on the same level. That does actually shows the content that you have and the love for the adventure sport that you pursue. Please keep doing it, and all the best for your all the adventures that you're going to have in the future. Be safe, and also we would like to see you in a lot of media channels, or else we want you to climb mountains and enjoy life to your best.
Oh, thank you so much, Karthik. It was an honor. Honestly, I enjoyed it. It was fun being on your podcast. Thank you so much.